Hello friends, I hope all of you are fine. Preparing for the prelims exam and simultaneously also keeping mains preparation in view. Today I'm going to discuss how to prepare for geography for the prelims exam. See, if you analyze the previous year question papers after the changing pattern and so on, 2011 onwards, it seems that the geography portion, the number of questions in geography have reduced, because some of the questions they have been asked in ecology, environment and biodiversity, etc. But still, if you analyze previous year question papers, 2019 paper, 2018 paper and so on an average 10 to 12 questions have been asked in geography. If we overlap few more questions, then you will find that the question is there are considerable number of questions, 10, 12 to 15 questions, which are from the geography section. Now, preparing geography is easy as well as tricky at the same time. See, so far as geography is concerned, we have these four important broad headings of geography. It's like general geography, Indian geography, socio-economic geography and regional geography, which are important for prelims exam. This general geography is involved in, rather it involves basic concepts. See, you should be very clear with the basic concepts, and the conceptual clarity is very much required. For most of us, geography is the collection of facts about Earth and various places, but understand that geography is very conceptual. So, factual understanding with a conceptual backing is what is required. So, the first component, like the general geography, is very much required. And I suggest this 11th standard NCERT, very much important for this section of geography, 11th standard NCERT. Now, for example, that if you look at the concepts here, if you look at the topics broadly here, it involves some basic concepts such as changing seasons, latitudes, longitudes. That is what is involved in the basic concepts here, latitudes, etc. We know the changing seasons of Earth, positional changes and so on. So last year a question was asked. If you see the 2019 question paper, a question was asked: the sun, beg your pardon, I'll repeat the question. On 21st June, the sun, option A, does not set below the horizon at the Arctic Circle. B, does not set below the horizon at the Antarctic Circle. C, shines vertically overhead at the noon on the equator. D, shines vertically overhead at the Tropic of Capricorn. This is last year's question. Now the question is very simple. I know, I'm sure most of you would have understood the question and can easily solve the question. That the answer for this, I will be discussing previous year question papers in the next video. So in that also I'll give the elaboration on this, but it's very simple to understand. But what I want to convey right now is that very basic understanding of the season and latitudes, etc. will give the answer for this. So we should be clear about where is Cancer, where is Capricorn, where is Arctic Circle, where is Antarctic Circle, and the changing seasonality of Earth. So you will find that we have the 6 months of summer and 6 months of winter and polar areas. By that, if you read that carefully, you can answer this questions, this particular question. Easy. Then some topics which are very important. Again, oceanography. Now it's very broad. if you focus upon some particular topics, so that includes ocean currents. Make sure that you have a very good conceptual understanding on ocean currents. We'll be discussing ocean currents very soon and the effect they have on the global climate. Then you should also be focusing on in oceanography at the marine resources, including the current affairs, rather relating it to the current events. In oceanography, some basic concepts of other oceanic circulation like waves, tides, etc., etc. So that is what you should be more focused on oceanography. Again, there's a question asked a few years back, I think it was in 2012. The question is, consider the following factors: rotation of Earth, next air pressure and wind, next density of ocean water, revolution of the Earth. Question is, which of the following factor influence the ocean currents? Now the prima facie, when you look at this, okay, all of them, but revolution of Earth we know that does not affect the ocean currents. Rest of them affect ocean currents. So read the factors carefully, read the effect of ocean currents, you will be able to solve the questions. This was asked in 2012. There is one more question asked on the same ocean currents, that counter equatorial current that moves from west to east at equator is produced because of which of the following factors. So such types of questions are asked in this conceptual part in oceanography. So we should be very clear with the basic conceptual clarity on this. So these are broadly 3 topics in oceanography that everyone should not miss upon these topics. Then we have other topics such as in the basic concept in the general geography only, climate. See, in climate, if you look at atmosphere, Earth's atmosphere should be clear with all the layers. Now the troposphere, stratosphere, the mesosphere, right, and the exosphere or thermosphere, but very clear about ionosphere. All these, if you can even remember these D layer, E layer, F layer, G layer, very good. Ionosphere, the functioning of these layers. So number one, you should be clear with the heights of these layers, atmospheric layers, and what role do they play in maintaining Earth's atmosphere. Again, related to the Earth's atmosphere, there was a question asked, a layer, I think it was again in 2012, although almost 9 years back, but still important. A layer in this Earth's atmosphere, called ionosphere facilitates radio communication. Why? Options: the presence of ozone causes reflection of radio waves to the Earth, which does not, but it has been mentioned. Radio waves have a very long wavelength. And options, which of the following statements are correct, incorrect? 1 A, 1 only, B, 2 only, C, both 1 and 2, D, neither 1 and 2. So again, if you know the structure of the atmosphere, please focus upon the role that these layers individually play. These are the questions that have been asked on this. Another aspect is about pressure system, atmospheric pressure and winds. Then temperature, and get a very clear understanding about temperature inversion in 2019. Again, the question was asked on temperature inversion, related to temperature inversion. And if you look at the mains examination in 2013, there was a question asked on temperature inversion. What do you understand by the temperature inversion? In meteorology, how does it affect human settlement? So important for both mains and prelims. So, and lastly, should be clear with cyclones. Now NCERT 11th standard important points. and keep revising them. Then geomorphology. Geomorphology. Now in geomorphology, very important is this internal structure of Earth. Is internal structure of Earth. Right? We'll be sharing one more video with you related to the internal structure of Earth and the concepts related to it. Then some other concepts, some other topics involved here: earthquakes, right? Volcanoes, important. And then landforms and rocks. Igneous, metamorphic, sedimentary rocks, some of the examples of these, the formation of these, significances of rocks, landforms. Now, so far as landforms are concerned, the glaciated landforms, there are aeolian landforms, there are fluvial landforms, karst landforms, coastal landforms. Now, there's a list of landforms, and some of you can also refer to, for landforms specifically, you can refer to this book called as G.C. Leong. I'm sure most of you would be having this book. You can also refer to a chapter, I think it's 9th or 11th chapter in 11th standard NCERT, the process of gradation. But this G.C. Leong will be quite handy. I've suggested this in the classroom programs also. In every class, whenever we discuss the landforms, I suggested don't break your head on landforms. Don't waste so much of time with the landforms. There will be one question or maximum two questions based on the identification. Many a times the question are asked, or that is how we expect, that they give you the name of the landform and you are supposed to identify. Like suppose Ereit is associated with which of the following landforms, or moraines, or for that matter, some karst topographic landform like stalactites or stalagmites. So to ease out your work, what you can do is you can just name name landforms. Like suppose I mentioned Ereit. So just read about Ereit. G.C. Leong will give you the idea of that, and just one line definition of this. Just one line definition of this. And if possible, you can also draw a small diagram there to show what is an Ereit. Glacial landforms, how is it formed, and so on. And just make the list of these landforms and revise it 3-4 times. That should be enough. Otherwise, if you keep reading landforms, it will take a lot of time and you will not be able to match the timeline that we have suggested in the previous videos. So this is about the basic concept. See, if you're clear with this concept of geography, you can easily understand Indian geography and the distribution aspect as well. Let's take an example of that. Indian geography, for example. See, now Indian geography is mainly about Indian physiography. Physiography. We know the 5 physiographic divisions of India, right? The northern mountain system, the northern North Indian plains, then the peninsular plateau, then coastal landforms and islands, these 5 physiographic divisions. Now read this. This is very factual. This is very informative, but important. There are some questions asked related to geomorphology and physiography. One question which was asked a few years back, it's about, I think in 2011 it was asked. Question is, when you travel in Himalayas, you will see the following: deep gorges, U-turn river courses, parallel mountain ranges, steep gradient causing landslides. Which of the following can be said to be the evidences of Himalayas being young fold mountains? Options 1 and 2, 1, 2 and 4, 3 and 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Easily understandable. If you're clear with the concepts of geomorphology, then you're clear with the concepts distribution of Himalayas, you know that all of them are correct. So read the physiography in this way. Related to the physiography is the drainage system. Now this is very painful for most of the aspirants, because so many tributaries, so many rivers, their tributaries, and then the places through which they pass. Some of them pass through some national parks or a biosphere reserve or a wildlife sanctuaries, some historical places. We need to remember some of the tributaries. I again refer NCERTs. Please read the NCERTs. You should not compromise upon this. Read most of the NCERTs. Then second, whatever mentioned in the NCERT. The second is your current affairs will give you an idea about it. Suppose there is a hydroelectric power project started on particular land river like Lower Subansiri or Rangit River, or lot of rivers in Jammu and Kashmir like Chenab Valley, or the Kishan Ganga and so many other. So make sure that these rivers you remember. If there's a flood or some other the river has been in news for some time, read those. Very important. Then in drainage system, there is one more question that was asked, I think in 2013 or somewhere. Yes, 13. There was one question asked. The Narmada flows to the west, while most of the large peninsular rivers flow to east. Why? It occupies the linear rift valley. It flows between the Vindhyas and the Satpuras. The land slopes to the west from central India. Which of the following? Select the correct answer using codes given below. 1 only, 2 and 3, 1 and 3 and none. So please read physiography and relation with drainage system. You should be able to understand this question. Yes, they flow through the rift valleys, right, towards west. That's the only reason. There is no further reason that they are flowing towards west. You can make out by this. Then soils of India. You should remember the basic characteristics of soils. Again, in classes, I suggested to most of you that read the points. Just remember the 4 points of soils you should be always clear with. Number 1, the composition of the soil. Number 2, the distribution of it, the distribution of the soil. Number 3, the agricultural significance of the soil. Number 4, recent problems in the region, like soil degradation, like salinity is increasing somewhere. The fertilizer composition the usage of fertilizer has been much higher. Alluvial soils have lost the characteristics or losing characteristics in some areas. There are problems of waterlogging at some places, problems of water percolation with some soils. So these 4 points should be clear. You should focus on these 4 points in soils. Then comes another aspect, agriculture. See, agriculture, one is the static part of agriculture where you need to know the crops and characteristics of crops. The second is very much required. The second one is maps of distribution of crops, like rice area, wheat region, sugarcane region and all that. Why is it increasing? Why is it not increasing? Or what are the problems in the region? And include the current affairs also. There is one question again. Last year, 2019, the question was asked related to agriculture. Yes, 2019. With reference to the cultivation of kharif crops in India, in the last 5 years, consider the following statement. Area under rice cultivation is the highest. Area under the cultivation of jowar is more than that of oil seeds. Area of cotton cultivation is more than that of sugarcane. And area under sugarcane cultivation has steadily decreased. Which of the following statement given above are correct? 1 and 3 only, 2, 3 and 4, 2 and 4 only, 1, 2 and 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now, such questions, that is the trend. Again in classes, we have been repeatedly saying that rice has India has the largest area under the rice cultivation. You know this, very easy to understand. And we know that sugarcane cultivation is increasing, because of the green revolution. Also, sugar industries are shifting their base to the southern part of India. That's because sugar cultivation has increased. So you can easily eliminate, or you can easily understand this. So that is how agriculture should be focused. Number one, characteristics and what is happening, characteristics of the crops, requirements of the crops. Second, what you should be focusing upon is the current aspect. What is happening now? What are the problems related to the particular crop? Then one more point, one more aspect of geography, which is also now related to some other components of general studies. Please go through the tribal map of India, tribes, and the tribal development of India, which is also very important for your social issues and so on. So tribes, distribution of tribes, major tribes, problems also you can relate to this, especially the primitive tribal groups. Last year again the question was asked about the PTGs. So make sure that you go through tribes. And one more last aspect that I would discuss in this third component is minerals. Distribution of minerals, a bit painful to remember a lot of places, but remember 3 to 4 places at least. So coal distribution, remember some 3 to 4 places of Jharkhand, 2-3 places of Bihar region, Chhattisgarh region, Karnataka, at least cover up 4 states. Then for iron distribution, some other minerals, petroleum distributions. Now also about other minerals which are not so conventional, like like shale gas. So make sure that you go through these minerals, and also the new aspect, policies related to the extraction of these minerals. That is also very important. So mix current affairs with this section of geography. Knowing distribution will not be just good enough. You need to focus upon the new policies and things like that also. Right? That is about the third aspect of geography. Now I'm sure most of you are concerned with the maps, the regional geography. See, now you see, I've been discussing this for many years now. I've been telling some of the aspirants to practice this. See, map cannot be studied in 1 day or 2 days or 3 days. To be comfortable with the map, we need to devote our time, a fixed time per day, to atlas work. Say 15 minutes. 15 minutes will be an ideal time. In any time of the day, morning, evening, before you go to bed, or any time. What happens, what we need to do is, we need to focus upon a particular continent. Let's take an example of any continent. Let's say South America, we'll take an example. So suppose I take an example of South America. So first one should be more focused upon the distribution of physical features, like we have Andes on the western side of South America. Then we have some highest peak of Andes like Mount Aconcagua. Then we have some highest volcanic peak like Ojana del Salado and others. And then we have some rivers flowing through this and so on. We have a desert, Atacama Desert and a Patagonia Desert. and so many other features. And then the physical aspect, beg your pardon, the economic aspect of South America. Now see, in these 15 minutes, one should be focused only upon the physical features on the first day. Focus upon all the important physical features like mountain ranges, peaks, volcanoes, plateaus. Observe them. Observe the distribution. Rivers. Next day, repeat. Third day, look at the countries. Now what to focus upon countries? Look at the capital cities of major countries, and which countries which are more concerned, like their news, major countries focus. Don't worry about every nook and corner of the continent. Focus upon the major countries. Then landlocked countries, observe which are landlocked countries. Observe the coastal areas, which of the following countries have the Pacific coast, which one have the Atlantic coast in case of South America. Likewise, you can see it for the others. Also, you can look at the north-south arrangement of some important cities. Just observe. Nobody can teach you maps. Nobody can help you to remember certain things. Yes, there are a lot of sensations available with some mnemonics here and there. If you can remember these mnemonics, good, very good. But I suggest you can develop your own mnemonics and your own memory. Visual memory is very important. So observe this map. Now suppose it takes 3 to 4 days for a continent, for you to go through the continent. Then next day, after 3 to 4 days, then you can jump to the next continent, like say Africa. Observe, spend some 3 to 4 days with Africa. Then you go to Asia, then you go to Europe, so North America, and observe this map. This is what you need to observe. Physical features carefully, rivers, forest areas, mountains, peaks, volcanoes, plateaus, countries, the coasts, which one is landlocked, which has a coast with which of the following seas, etc. And then emphasize towards the end, you should emphasize on particular regions. Like West Asia is very, very important. The Mediterranean coast is very important. Southeast Asia is very, very important. Other than this West Asia, please focus upon Southeast Asia very carefully. North America and South America, rest are all important, but the more focused area. Then you can also look at the north and northwestern part of Europe, again very important. And for a lot of suggestions, a lot of people ask me the book for map work and so on. There is the 6th, 7th and 8th NCERT, old NCERT, which has a very good account of continental geography. Very good account on continental geography. So 6th, 7th and 8th. In 6th, for example, you have a map of South America, Australia, Africa. Then in other classes you have maps for North America and Europe. Then you have a map for Asia. That is all that you require. You need to focus upon this and improve your visual memory. It's like you have to look at a person. One day you maybe not, when you're going on the road, you look at a person, you will not bother much about it. But when you see him for 3, 4, 5 days continuously, suddenly that visual memory works. You will start recognizing. Similarly, it's mainly the identification that is required here. So 6th, 7th, 8th NCERT, very good. If you want to read something extra, we also have a book on world maps, geography through maps, by our colleague, one of my senior colleague, Mr. Pramod Sharma. You can refer to his book. It's a collection of very valuable information for all of you. Other than NCERT, if you want to read, this is an excellent book. You can always refer to this. So that's my suggestion for all of you related to the maps. So just in order to give you some idea about the question that was asked, or that the type of question that have been asked, you have a question in 2014. Turkey is located between A. Black Sea and Caspian Sea, Black Sea and Mediterranean Sea, Gulf of Suez and Mediterranean Sea, D. Gulf of Aqaba and Dead Sea. Now, nobody can teach you this other than your visual memory. So if you have looked at map carefully, focused on some parts of West Asia, you can answer the question. Another such type of question was asked, what is the current sequence of occurrence of the following cities in Southeast Asia as one proceeds from south to north? See? And cities are not any city. Those cities which are very, very important, which are the capital cities like Bangkok, Jakarta, Hanoi and Bangkok, Hanoi, Jakarta and Singapore. From south to north. Look at the map. We can handle this question. So it's not the difficulty of the question that challenges us. It's the trick in the options which challenges. It's not the question is difficult. The way options are given in front of us, that makes the question very difficult. And why sometimes we are able to eliminate one sentence and not able to eliminate two or three others. Like sometimes you get a question which of the following is correct or incorrect. So you are able to understand the first is correct or incorrect. Second, you are not very sure. Third, you are sure. But even if you miss one sentence, you miss the whole question. Because we lack exactness somewhere. And exactness comes only when we revise multiple times. It comes only when we repeat a topic again and again and again. So that is how I suggest all of you to work upon. Keep studying. All of you can clear. I have repeated again. It takes just one good attempt to clear the exam. Best of luck.